another edition of Ed Live. Of course, every Saturday evening we come to you to update you what is happening in our country, and of course, quite a lot has been happening. We are aware that by now, today was the last day for house-to-house registration. That was cancelled. I think I spoke, myself and Joe Hamilton last week, spoke ad nauseum about the whole issue of house-to-house registration and the fact that how it would have disenfranchised so many Guyanese, and the fact that there were so many issues surrounding the house-to-house registration. It is now time for us to wait and see when GCOM meets again, what will be the next step. I want to say, before I get into the other issues that I want to talk about tonight, that the People's Progressive Party has made its position clear that we are not in support of the merger of the data from the house-to-house registration with that of the National Register of Registrants for a number of reasons, one of them being the fact that the PPP did not scrutinize the exercise, because we held the position from the inception that house-to-house registration was unnecessary. It had a sinister motive, that is to deregister and disenfranchise thousands, matter of fact, tens of thousands of our Guyanese brothers and sisters who are qualified to vote and to choose a government, regardless of where they are in the world. They have a right to come back if they so desire to vote, and that exercise was intended to disenfranchise them. There were so many issues, like I said, with that exercise. So we have to wait on the next step. Tonight I want to talk to you about a couple of things, and I think as a nation, as a people, all of us ought to wake up, regardless of our political affiliation, regardless of what the case may be with us, that as a people we need to wake up and realize what is happening to us. We have a government that is selling our country. Matter of fact, it's already sold out to foreigners and the oil companies. There are issues where we hear foreigners are being given large plots of land and nothing is really done with it. But I want to spend some time on the deals that the Granger, now illegal Granger administration would have signed with a number of companies. I want to spend some time to talk about oil and gas, because I think with all that is happening politically, we tend to lose sight of what is happening in front of our very eyes. So I want to spend some time with and a lot of this has been in the news with regards to the Tullow contract, which was signed by Trotman. So the Tullow contract has 1% recoverable royalty. So whenever whenever you sign contracts, and if you look at around the world, look at oil companies and look at other countries, you will see with smaller reserves than ours, you will see what they did. None of them accepted 1% and 2% royalty. So I want to focus on, because the Tullow deal is the most recent deal. 1% recoverable royalty in Tullow contract, signed by Raphael Trotman. So there's zero, that equals to zero royalty. Absolutely no royalty there. And Mr. Trotman, when he was asked by the media, said, I was following orders. I hope Mr. Trotman can tell this nation, because this is our wealth. This is the wealth of every single Guyanese. Who gave him the orders? Is it Granger that gave him the orders? Is it Harman that gave him the orders? He needs to say to this nation who exactly gave him the order to sign a contract with 1% recoverable royalty, which amounts to zero. Already we seeing in today's newspapers, Tullow, without doing anything, absolutely nothing here, billed the government of Guyana, the people of Guyana for that matter, $64 million in pre-contract cost. I would like to know exactly this pre-contract cost that we have to pay. And where is it coming from? Why? And haven't done anything here. With regards to preparations for the oil and gas industry, because this industry is expected or was expected to transform Guyana, there's absolutely no local content policy. And local content policy simply means putting a policy in place where Guyanese businesses, Guyanese investors, the people of Guyana who are interested in providing services and goods to the oil companies, that they have a stake, that they're given first preference. 2015 was the first oil find. We are in 2019, almost to the end of 2019, and we haven't seen a local content policy from this government. So there is no first preference for Guyanese businesses. The oil companies can bring in who they want, and they can do whatever they want, and they can give the businesses, they can acquire services, goods and everything from any company anywhere around the world, and totally ignore Guyanese businesses, Guyanese investors. Then we have to look at the shamelessly low signing bonus. I mean, if you look at what we received, it's probably less than the bonus of one of the top executives of ExxonMobil. That's the possibility. 18 million Guyana dollars, which they hide in any case. They hid it, and eventually, because of the pressure from the opposition, the expose in the media and so forth, they eventually came out and said, well, okay, yes, we did receive the money. And we can recall the words of Jordan saying, the media didn't ask him the right question. Oh, they asked me about 20 million, they didn't ask me about 18. Those are the kinds of people that we have to deal with. Those are the people who believe that they can always operate with the highest degree of secrecy, and they can fool the Guyanese people. Then, and by the way, with regards to the Tolau deal, there's absolutely no signing bonus. None whatsoever. So we go 18 with Exxon, which is a few pennies in the context of the oil industry. And then we go with Tolau, where we took nothing. There is absolutely no, and I'm just going through these points because I think that I may have to do a program or two to focus exclusively on the oil and gas industry and what this inept, incompetent, corrupt cabal did with regards to our oil wealth. So there's absolutely no protection for Guyanese fishermen in the case of an oil spill. Matter of fact, if there is an oil spill, the contract that we have is that the Guyanese have to pay it back. So whatever we think that all this celebration with what we're getting from the oil companies, it's going to go back if that is to happen. There is no ring fencing. And time is not here tonight for me to go through to explain to you what exactly is ring fencing and why insurance is needed and so forth. But I'm saying these things so that you can start cogitating, you can start thinking about them, you can start doing your own research, you can start finding out and do comparisons with other countries to see exactly what this cabal did. So, if there is an unsuccessful well, or there are unsuccessful wells that are drilled, we, the people of Guyana, because this money that is going to come from the oil industry and from the other sectors is not Granger's money, it's not Trotman's money, it's not the AP and UAFC money, it is the money of the people of this country. And they come to you and they try to fool you, they try to hoodwink you, to tell you that, oh, there is so much you're going to get. You're going to get rich in 2020 when there is forced oil. It is not so. Because a lot of this money can go back into paying the bills of the oil companies. The pre-contract expenses, like I said, about the 64 million that we already got. And we got hundreds of millions of US dollars from ExxonMobil. Guyanese. All of us now our children, and probably our grandchildren will have to pay back those monies. Granger and his cabal don't care. They absolutely don't care. That is not their problem. They don't care. They just sign deals. They just give away our country to foreigners and the oil companies. And I mean, we have to confront this at some point. We can't just sit and allow these things to happen and say, you know what, it's okay. So we are looking at a government that is absolutely corrupt, incompetent. They have absolutely no plan. And you can look up over the past four years or so. What, and I think the question came up from a young man last week who called to say that this government has done a lot and there has been a lot of investments. And I asked him the question. I said, could you point me to the investments that would have transformed the lives of the people of this country? That would have created jobs for our young people, bring benefits to the people of this country? None. They put VAT on water and electricity. They put VAT on education and educational materials because of pressure. They belatedly removed it. They gave us over 200 new taxes. They widened the list of items that are VATable. So the basic amenities that we were using, basic things that we were using, now attract VAT. So they celebrate, we dropped VAT from 16 to 14%. But it's like, you know, you come to my shop, I have a shop and I'm selling, and you come to my shop, and I say, hey, what? The tax on the Pampers and the milk, I'm going to charge you 10% instead of 15%. So I took off, let's say, $100 each for each item that I spoke about. So instead of you paying, with the tax it becomes $115. Instead of you paying $115 for the Pampers and the milk each, you'll pay $110. So yes, you think that you save. But what I did also is that I add 10% on sugar, on rice, on flour, which weren't attracting VAT or tax before. So when you think on the milk and the Pampers, you save $10, $5 each on each item, you still are paying me $30 more because I add 10% on the other items that weren't attracting tax before. I'm just putting it in layman's term for you to understand. So they give you with one hand and they collect it with the other hand. Matter of fact, they collect more. And that is how they're fooling Guyanese. They widen the net. Let me tell you this. I observe it, and I think many of you, were, especially on social media, would have observed. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing this surge. They're trying to build Granger's image. You know, you're seeing him hugging up and shaking hands with nurses, school children, policemen, and all sorts of people. I want to ask if belatedly, when this coalition government became illegal, they started to shake hands and hug people and start going and meet people. I want to know if the Guyanese people are going to eat those photographs that you're seeing with, you know, Granger shaking nurses' hands. I had reports where nurses were being treated in the most inhumane manner. Many of them were brought from out of regions where they live, brought to Georgetown, and were promised a whole host of things. One of them told me the stove, the kerosene stove that she was given to cook on, and they conditioned the sink in the place where they were placed to live. They were promised good accommodation, allowances for moving out of the... So Granger going now to hug up nurses and to shake hands with nurses because of a company out of this country that they would have hired. right? The company that they would have hired out of this, out of the, I think the company is coming out of the United States that they would have hired, trying to boost Granger's image. The people of this country are not going to be able to eat those photographs and those handshakes. They want jobs. They want better living conditions. They want housing. They want to be able to afford a vehicle. They want to be able to afford to send their children to school. They want to be able to afford to live, most importantly, in a free, safe, a crime-free and safe society. Those are some of the important things to people. Not shaking their hands and going now and promise them that you're going to bring them the moon and the stars and you're going to bring them another planet. They don't want that now. You had a chance to do it. You failed. I think, and I can say this safely, and I think Granger is going to go down as the worst president, the most inept, incompetent president in the history of this country. He has failed the people of this country. Many of you know what Guyana was. The PPP took over a bankrupt country in 1992. Healthcare was destroyed. The education system was destroyed. The public infrastructure was destroyed. Our external debt, we were using 94 cents of every dollar that we earn as a country to service external debt in 1992 when the PPP took over this country. We managed to bring down the debt, and we managed at the same time to repair the broken infrastructure in this country. I can recall, I attended a school on the Essequibo Coast called C.V. Nunes Primary. A lot of people know about that primary school. I attended that school in the 80s. A lot of people know C.V. Nunes, one of the top schools, I think, the National Grade 6 Assessment, the top student for the National Grade 6 Assessment, one of them was from C.V. Nunes. That building, when it starts to rain in the 80s, you gotta move your desks all over. It was a broken down building, and that was replicated across this country. The People's Progressive Party, I can proudly sit here and say, C.V. Nunes Primary School, it's a brand new structure, done under the PPP, and that is replicated across the country. The secondary school that I attended, it was redone, rebuilt on the Essequibo Coast under the People's Progressive Party. The Essequibo Road used to be called the Abortion Road. Ask anybody who grew up on the Essequibo Coast in the 80s and earlier. They'll tell you the Essequibo Road used to be called the Abortion Road. It was under the PPP Civic that Essequiboans got a new road. It was under the PPP Civic that housing schemes across this country, thousands of house lots, were given to poor people. Let Granger and his administration come to you and tell you what they have done. How many house lots they have given you? What are the major transformational projects they have undertaken in this country to change your life that they conceptualized and that they implemented? There is none. The Chedijagan International Airport, which should have made Guyana a hub, massive structure, should have been a brand new airport. David Patterson and his cabal went and they changed the design of that building, of that structure, of that project. So we are getting less now. From 8 air bridges, we are getting 4 air bridges. From a new terminal, we're getting a rehabilitated terminal. All of them are falling apart. And they are paying more. The other day, you were seeing photos and videos on social media of the runway being washed away. The West Demerara Road, it's a project that was done under the PPP, was completed by Granger and his cabal. The East Demerara 4-lane highway, the East Bank Demerara 4-lane highway. I mentioned the Chedijagan International Airport. And there are so many other projects that I'm seeing that they're putting up, promise fulfilled. Promise fulfilled are all projects of the People's Progressive Party. Valda Lawrence going to Berbice and relaunch a kitchen. Could you imagine a minister traveling to Berbice to launch a kitchen where they probably put some paint inside and probably buy a stove or something? She went to recommission the kitchen while the hospital in Berbice is falling apart. There's no drugs to the people there. Georgetown Public Hospital, the same thing. Saudi Public Hospital, the same thing. West Demerara Regional Hospital, the same thing. And they're busy doing that. I saw Ali Koch went to somewhere in the interior to commission a meat center, a $1 million meat center. It's a guard hut size with a small freezer that I think is about $70,000 and a generator about $200,000. A vice president traveled into the interior. I think it probably cost more to get into the interior than the building that he went to commission. So there is nothing this government can prove. They can show you that they did for the people of this country. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely. They haven't done anything to transform the lives of the people of this country. They promised the young people all sorts of things. I can remember the banner. I think it said, it is time for jobs for the young people. The young people in this country are worst off. All of us are worst off. All of us. Because of the inept, corrupt, incompetent cabal that is led by David Granger. They're going to come to you again. And they are coming to you again with more lies. Like they promised the rice farmers on the Essequibo coast, $9,000 a bag for paddy. The rice farmers are getting $2,000 and $2,500 and all sorts of things. They promised the sugar workers significant salary increases. And I can remember Ramjatan, Nagamutu, and Granger themselves stood on the political platform in 2014, 2015 and said to the people of Berbice, they are not going to close the sugar industry. No estate will be closed. Excuse me, I'm a bit under the weather, but I had to be here tonight, to talk to you. Yes, they promised the people in Berbice that they are not going to close any sugar estates. They said it's the PPP propaganda. But then they still put, 7,000 people out of jobs. And they don't care. Is there a single day that Granger, he posing now to take pictures with nurses and everybody to build his image that is badly destroyed? A single day he went to Berbice and met with those people to ask them how they were surviving? Did he put any systems in place to ensure that these people who were coming off from the sugar industry are employed? No, he didn't, because he don't care. Once his cabal is well taken care of, and they get their super salaries, and they get their security, and they get everything that they want at your expense, at the expense of the taxpayers, they don't care. That is why Ramjatan can say, what are you talking about? Crime is down. Because Ramjatan is protected at your expense, at the state's expense. With your tax dollar, he's protected. But you're not protected. You can't sleep peacefully in the nights. You have to wonder whether somebody is going to break into your home, and if they break into your home, whether they're going to kill you or not. But Ramjatan don't care. Granger don't care, because they got a whole host of security surrounding them. So, I said all of that to let you realize that the APNU AFC care absolutely nothing about the people of this country. They give away the country. They did nothing for you. nothing to change your life, nothing to better your life. They haven't improved your living conditions. They haven't given you a house lot. What they gave you is over 200 new taxes to take money out of your pocket. They haven't created jobs for the young people. They don't even have young people in their cabinet. What, two? And the two because they're loyalists? They have done absolutely nothing for the people of this country. And when you look at the corruption, it is unbelievable. The level of corruption in the AP and UAFC is unbelievable. This thing is about filling their pockets to ensure they're well taken care of. It's about grabbing. That is why they don't want the elections. That is why they don't want the elections. They want house to house, they want this, they want that. Chicum has to tell them they're not ready, they're not, all sorts of excuses. And if, maybe I should divert a little from what I'm talking about with their incompetence, and I want to make the point that I saw a story in the Guyana Chronicle claiming that the PPP somehow giving out birth certificates to people, illegal fake birth certificates for them to register. I want to ask a simple question. If the PPP was giving out birth certificates, fake birth certificates to people to register, why would the PPP object to house-to-house registration? We should have welcomed house-to-house registration because that's how the people would have gotten the opportunity to register. So, and imagine your tax dollars being used for a propaganda machine that the state newspaper is turned into, where Granger, Nagamutu, and the others put all sorts of fake news into the newspaper, somehow believing that that is what Guyanese want to hear. These are the kinds of people that we're working with. These are the kinds of people that we're dealing with, that we need to get them out of there. We need to have the elections. I want to also spend some time to talk a little bit about the People's Progressive Party and, the vision, the plan for this country. And I guess a lot of you are seeing posters and so on around with some of the things that that are in our manifesto. And I'm hearing all sorts of stories, a lot of people talking all sorts of things about the promises the People's Progressive Party has been making. I want to say to you that we have a proven track record as a political party. The PPP would have been there and would have demonstrated its competence to manage this country. And we have a presidential candidate that is youthful, qualified, he's filled with energy, and he is surrounded by a team of people who are experienced, who are young, and who have the capacity and the ability and the know-how to manage our country. So I want to focus, I just want to share with you some of the things that we intend to do. One of the things that the People's Progressive Party is promising the people of this country, when we win the next elections, and you will see this in our manifesto, that we intend to reverse the VAT on farming, mining, and forestry equipment. And I want to talk a little bit about, about agricultural equipment. I saw the other day that the government is saying, well, the now illegal government, that they're going to give tax breaks on farming equipment. They will take off the VAT. Guess what? They're the ones who put the VAT on it. It never had VAT. They decided to put the VAT. And now, to get your votes, they decide that they're going to take it off. So, that's the first thing. The People's Progressive Party is promising the people of this country that we intend to reverse the over 200 new taxes and fees that they would have put on the people of this country. You may not recognize it, brothers and sisters, but it's an additional burden on you. You weren't paying taxes on something, so if it was $10, you were paying $10. If they put 10% VAT on that, you're going to be paying $11, another dollar. So when you accumulate all those dollars and $5 and $20 and $2,000 and $5,000 you're paying, you will realize how much money. That is why GRA can boast about how much money they collect. How you think they're collecting that? By taking it from you, by reducing the amount of money you have in your pocket to spend. The People's Progressive Party also intend to support small business with grants and interest-free loans. We had started, the People's Progressive Party Civic would have started, and I guess a lot of you would remember that program, the Women of Worth program, the WOW program, where single mothers were being able to access loans from commercial banks to start their own businesses with very low, in some cases, no interest rate. We intend to continue with programs like that, but to expand it, to ensure that we capture small businesses. So that we can give them a little grant, you want to expand your small business, we can give them a little grant so that they can expand their business, they can get loans that are interest-free, so that their business can grow. I can tell you the number of businesses, both small and large businesses, that would have closed under this country, under this government, in this country. It's unbelievable. Hundreds of them. We have to, and we intend to, as a political party, to also look at what is happening in our rice industry. We had lucrative markets. This government destroyed them. They lost all of them. They create absolutely no support for the rice industry. Absolutely no support. And I think no less a person than Mr. Granger himself said once that the rice industry is a private industry. It's not the government has nothing to do with that. When the farmers on the Esquimalt coast and in Berbice were faced with the paddy bug infestation, ask them. You ask the farmers, what have they gotten from Granger and his administration? Ask them what they have gotten. Absolutely nothing. The GRDB, none of them did absolutely nothing for the rice farmers on the Esquimalt coast, for the rice farmers in Berbice. So we intend to ensure that we provide support as much as possible for the rice industry. Because let me tell you what is the problem with this government. The AP and UFC, all they're thinking about is oil. They eat, sleep, dream, everything oil. So they neglect the agricultural industry. They neglect every single other industry. And the focus is on oil. So they sit back there and they borrow loans. They borrow from everybody. Every single body that you can think about, they borrow from. And they're waiting on the oil money to pay back. So they don't care about the other industries. It's about borrowing, and we can wait on oil. We can wait. Well, a lot of the oil money going back to pay debts. We also, and I think the presidential candidate of the People's Progressive Party would have made it clear that he intends to create 50,000 jobs over a 5-year period. And that's moderate. Let me tell you something. The construction industry in this country, which this coalition government killed, the construction industry alone, that sector, was creating about 25 to 30,000 jobs across this country. You look at it. You look at the Providence Housing Scheme. You look at the Diamond Housing Scheme. You look at the Parfait Harmony Housing Scheme. Look at the Tushan Housing Scheme. Look at the Anna Regina Housing Scheme. the underneming housing scheme, the housing schemes in Linden, the housing schemes in Berbice, the housing scheme on the east coast of Demerara. You're talking about Martysville at the Monreport area. You're talking about at the Collagen area, Enterprise. Look at the housing schemes across this country and the number of homes that were being built and the amount of jobs that were being created for people. So we're talking probably moderately about 20,000 jobs alone if we're to restart and kickstart the construction sector. If you look at what happened with the sugar workers, you're seeing another 10,000 jobs with ease there. The rice industry is struggling. If the rice industry is boosted, you're talking about jobs. You have the services sector. You have the manufacturing sector. And I can go on and tell you how we can create 50,000 jobs. So Comrade Irfan Ali, when he said 50,000 jobs in 5 years, a lot of people said he was, I don't know what they were saying, it's ridiculous. But I can sit here and I can explain to you how these jobs are going to be created. So we intend to create those jobs. We have in our plan in a phased manner to ensure that tertiary education is free. Granger spoke about free education. What Granger didn't do, he didn't tell you how it will be done because you don't know. You just say things. You're going to see in our manifesto, when the People's Progressive Party manifesto is launched and you're able to access it, you're going to see everything that we say we're going to do, we will have cost them. We attach a cost to them to ensure that our promises are feasible, to ensure that our promises are achievable and are not empty promises as we would have seen from APNU AFC over the past 4 years or so. We spoke about creating the online scholarships, 20,000. And you're going to see more on that. Look out in coming weeks. You're going to see much more with regards to how we intend to get those done. Brothers and sisters, I want to say to you, I'm almost out of time. I want to say to you that you be the judge. You be the judge. Our gold reserves from about what? I think $16 billion. I'm talking, I think 16 billion US dollars is now down to 500 and something thousand dollars. From 2014, 2015, we had all of that there. The coalition sold it off to build things like the White Elephant, what do you call it? The Durban Park. To spend on their lavish lifestyle. For some people to pay lawyers for their relatives. For some people to go and travel all over the place and bring back nothing. To squander our economy. And I don't know where Jordan got this 4% that he's talking about. Because I can tell you, our economy is in serious trouble. Every single sector, the agriculture sector, the manufacturing sector, the services sector, tourism, you name it, they're struggling. Our construction sector has ground to a halt right now. Because people are not getting house lots, people are not getting loans from the bank. Our country is in a very, very bad state. Our economy has been destroyed. And this is nothing new. This is exactly what the PNC did prior to 1992. Destroy the economy of this country. Destroy the infrastructure of this country. And the PPP, when they took office in 2050 and in 1992, they start the process of rebuilding. I can tell you that the People's Progressive Party stands ready to work with every single Guyanese. The People's Progressive Party is a multiracial party. Our doors are always open and we welcome you to become part of this process. We want you on board. I think this nation would have had enough of Granger and his cabal and the destruction they would have done to our country. And I think it's now time that all of us together, and as you can see if you look at our posters, our billboards and so forth, but not billboards per se, but our posters that we're putting up, it says, stronger together for a better Guyana. So we want all of you, every single Guyanese, you have a role to play in ensuring that we save our country from this corrupt, incompetent cabal of APNU AFC. It is time that we get together as a people and try to move our country forward. Guyana does not belong to Granger and his cabinet ministers and his close friends and so forth. Guyana is for all of us, each and every one of us. It is about time we get together. The only political party that in my view, and I think in the majority of Guyanese view, that can ensure that this country continue to progress how it was progressing prior to 2015, it's the People's Progressive Party. So I encourage all of you to get on board, partner with us, work with us, and together let us start the process of building Guyana under a youthful, vibrant, energetic, and a tested leader in Irfaan Ali. He would have been the Minister of Housing, and he would have designed one of the best housing programs in the Caribbean. I can tell you, Prime Minister Rav Gonzalez came here to look at our housing program, to see exactly what it looks like, and he said here that this should be a model for the Caribbean. So again, as I wrap things up here, brothers and sisters, I want to encourage you to get on board with the People's Progressive Party as we prepare together to move Guyana forward. Let us build Guyana together. Until next week, this is where I'll take my leave. I want to say thank you very much for being part of the program. I'll be back here with you on next Saturday as we continue to discuss the future of our country under a People's Progressive Party civic government. Bye for now.